stringent restrictions. The Queen is going to sign off on all the plans in the coming days. Now, being the partner to the Queen for the last 70 years or more means that Prince Philip has also become an international figure, and so we're starting to see some global tributes coming in from leaders of the Commonwealth of Nations and the wider world. Certainly Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, calling him a man of great purpose and conviction. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, singling out his distinguished military career, and Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commission President, speaking of her sadness at Prince Philip's passing. Guy, Alex.
Emma, we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Bloomberg's Emma Chandra. Well, joining us now for more insight on the legacy of Prince Philip is Bloomberg editor-in-chief John Micklethwaite. John, for Luddite over here in the U.S., walk me through the last 70 years, the legacy that Prince Philip now leaves behind.
I think he'll probably be remembered for the kind of role he played. We all watch The Crown, we all see people trying to play him. But really, in some ways, he took on this immensely difficult role. And again, these may not be things that we all approve of, but certainly when he came to his role, it was a time when the men were supposed to be the kind of leaders and things like that. And he filled this role of always being beside the Queen, supporting her. And at obvious times it was frustrating for him. But I do think he did have quite a big impact. And he opened up, he did quite a lot to open up the monarchy. He did quite a lot in his own way to actually encourage things like young people and stuff like that. So I think he's remembered with actually considerable affection, as you can see by the flowers arriving at Buckingham Palace.
John, he was part of a team. He gave the Queen a great deal of stability. He gave the royal family a great deal of stability. The Queen is 95. Does this in any way impact her desire to carry on as monarch? How pivotal a moment do you think this could be?
I was thinking whilst you were speaking, that awful hackneyed phrase of calling the royal family the firm, where she was the sort of CEO, he was a kind of chairman figure. And sometimes when one goes, the other finds it much more difficult. And I think it is two things. It was, as you point out, it was a marriage, very obviously, now portrayed on TV, but it was also this kind of partnership which ran quite a big enterprise. It's no small thing, the royal family. You just look at the number of people who work for them in different ways and the kind of global reach. And I think, yes, it would be much harder. And I think there's also that fact that as you get old, you don't have the natural sort of possibilities for other jobs. They were both now in their 90s. It's a tough job to be monarch, as we're all seeing. So yes, it will be much harder without him. It's hard to say anything else.
John, I apologize if this question seems insensitive, but many couples have been together for quite a long time. When one passes, the other one can as well. What's the conversation there in the UK about succession?
I think that's always been the question of who follows the Queen has been endlessly debated. Normally, whenever Prince Charles is particularly unpopular, people begin to talk about stepping aside, maybe going down another generation, and so on and so on. But I think in the end, if you're the royal family, you believe in tradition, you believe in if you don't follow that, then everything else comes apart. There was a famous old editor of The Economist, much more distinguished than me, called Walter Bagehot, who said that you shouldn't let too much daylight onto magic. And I think that has been a course that has, on the whole, the monarchy's tried to follow. It's had some difficulty following it in the age of television and so on, but that's been the basic way. Once you pick away at the threads of why one particular family should rule, then you get into more trouble. So I think they will keep on following the same system, although I know the papacy has recently changed.
Are we heading for a slimmed down monarchy in the UK, John?
I think in the end you're probably likely to go that way. There's always been two things. There's always been an element, and again we go back to the kind of corporate side. There's been an element of being the sort of big blockbuster monarchy on the global stage. You've got slimmer monarchies in places like the Netherlands, and the British, I think, through a mixture of folie de grandeur maybe, but also through affection, tradition, and some desire to be seen as much bigger than perhaps we are. We always liked a big monarchy in that sense. But there is definitely an element, I think, whereby just the way in which these families and inheritance works, that it tends to sort of zero down with each generation. You've already seen that to some extent with Harry and Meghan. You know, they needed someone there. Now William's got children, so the focus keeps on going down, and that has been the way that has worked ever since. You know, get back and see, look at what happened with Henry VIII and others. It's been the way in which it goes.
John, we really appreciate your time today. Thank you so very much. Bloomberg Editor-in-Chief, John Micklethwaite. This is Bloomberg.